In today's video, we are going to look into near miss on the ascent, Mountaineers approach false ledge. On April 8, 2017, Eric and 5 other members of a weekend hiking group in British Columbia, Canada, were on the last stretch of a snowy climb up Mount Harvey. The summit, located at 5,420 feet, offers some of the best views in the North Shore Range and is considered one of the most difficult day hikes in the range. The group had been climbing similar climbs for much of their lives, and when Eric needed to take a breather, he urged them to carry on without him. The north face of the mountain is a sheer cliff that drops almost 2,000 feet straight down. As they approached the summit, Eric noticed that the rest of his group was nowhere to be found. The other hiker then apologized before informing Eric that all 5 of his friends had fallen off the summit. After checking their cell phones, they had no service to call emergency services. They had to turn around and descend the mountain together until they reached the parking area, miles down the climb they just made. Emergency services called and search and rescue teams were on site within an hour. Eric knew that a fall from the summit of Mount Harvey had only one possible outcome, but he held on to the slim hope that the 5 other hikers somehow survived and were waiting to be rescued at the base of the mountain. More than 40 volunteers, search dogs, and 2 helicopters began looking around Mount Harvey for the fallen hikers. But the weather wasn't cooperating that day. 4 of the hikers were found dead the next morning, with their personal belongings scattered around them. The families were devastated and left with questions about what could have happened and why. However, a formal investigation into the cause was never executed, largely because what happened was clear to mountain experts. On July 24, 1989, 2 men were hiking from Mount Kuradake to Mount Asahidake during a trail trip. Mount Asahidake is the highest peak in the region and is part of an active volcano group that rises over 7,500 feet on the northern Japanese island of Hokkaido. The mountain is characterized by steep slopes and a cratered summit, with eruptions occurring there historically, but mostly dormant today. The hike was challenging, but not the most difficult in Japan. The Hokkaido police sent a rescue helicopter to look for the men, and after hours of finding nothing, they found the letters S, O, and S on the side of the mountain. The pilot then set the chopper down to the ground, and officers and medics helped the 2 men aboard. Despite being spooked, the men were healthy and relieved to avoid a more serious situation. A medic praised the men for building letters on the side of a mountain. The search team had no idea who they were looking for or how many people might be part of the group. As they arrived, the letters were made from 19 birch trees, each 16 feet long and heavy. Human bone fragments were found nearby, and a hole in the mountain was just big enough for a person to fit in. The SOS letters, a mysterious letter found in a backpack, were solved by police after discovering a human skull and driver's license. Kenji Iwamura, a man in his late 20s, went missing during a solo hike in 1984. The bones were found near the letters, but the mystery deepened when medical examiners reported the bones as belonging to a woman between 20 and 40 years old. The cassette tapes in the backpack contained a voice describing the area where the letters were located, but the bones belonging to a woman made no sense. The Japanese Forestry Agency and the Japanese Geological Authority assisted in determining the length of the letters on a mountain. They found that the letters appeared on the mountain as of September 20, 1987, 3 years after Kenji's disappearance. However, a 2015 scientific study found that the 19 birch logs made up the letters were double that size, weighing around 216 pounds each. Medical examiners determined that the remains were from a thin and not very muscular person, possibly due to a survivable fall from a cliff above the Sasa Grove. Thank you for watching this video.